Aloha everybody, this is Dr. BethAnne, and this is June's edition of Intuitive You, my monthly intuitive living letter filled with heart-based wisdom and tools for trusting our intuition and following our hearts. And I have to admit that this has been the most challenging issue that I've written in terms of creating content that felt appropriate to life right now, because it is always in my heart to offer something that feels relevant and real and authentic, and that doesn't skip over the hard stuff. And this last week in the United States of America, our country is really breaking open, and the world has been being broken open with this pandemic and the challenges that we're facing and the environmental pressures that we have. And this week, in my own process of being, I've really been grieving what's going on in our country. I've been angry at a lot of the violence and a lot of the division and hate that I'm seeing. I have been thoughtful and really thinking about how have I been a part of the problem? How can I be a part of the solution? How can I be a good ally? How can I make the spaces that I'm creating safe for everybody? And I have been grappling. And so when I sat down to write the content, I thought, why don't you not be anywhere other than where you're at, right? Because that's kind of what I teach. I teach people, be where you're at, be where you're at. That is where listening to our hearts and following our intuition and really getting to know our inner self starts at. It's not being over there, or farther than we want to be. It's being able to be really present with where we're at right now. And I thought, I'm grappling. So let's talk about that, because you're probably grappling too. And you are probably dealing with, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel. Maybe you're empathically totally on overload and you're overwhelmed and you've been in paralysis. I have certainly felt like that. And you want to do the right thing, but you don't know what the right thing is. And you're trying to figure that out, and you're trying to move forward in a way that keeps you in your integrity, and you're trying to be better for humanity and be a better human being. And it's okay not to know right now. Last month we talked about navigating the unknown, and that was more tied in with kind of COVID and what's to come, and going through this time in history where we're facing a pandemic. But right now, as we have social justice issues being magnified, and we've got election year coming up. There's a lot of political stuff that's going to be magnified. Those things are hard to talk about. They are triggering for people, and they are absolutely why we are called here to do this work and to hold space for the light. We're called to examine them. We're called to grapple with them. We're called to ask ourselves the hard questions of, how do I feel about this? What do I think about this? How does my understanding of my purpose and who I feel called to be in this world intersect with this? What can I do? What do I feel called to do in order to make a positive contribution? We are called to do that work. 2019, in my understanding, was really the last year in an older cosmic cycle where people were going to be allowed to kind of stay in their slice of life and not really have to look up or look around at anybody other than their own experience or their own little pod. And right now we're really being called to look at one another, right? We're being called to listen to one another. We're being called to understand one another. We are being called to listen to voices of color, specifically this week Black people, and hear their experience and witness those, and really be a part of grieving and feeling that pain. We are being called to do these difficult things, and that's exactly what we're here for. We can do this. We can do this. And I chose this theme because I didn't want to hop on here and make a video and pretend like I have it figured out. Oh my gosh, I'm such a student too, like everybody else. And I'm in the human boat with everybody else figuring out my humanity. And yet from a spiritual perspective, I very much see that all of these things are moving and working together to help humanity go through a massive examination process at this time, where we really do some soul searching and look at ourselves and look at how we've set up this world, how we've set up the structures in this world. And I see more things coming. I feel like more things are going to be coming that invite us to do that or force us to do that, depending on how you want to look at it. And so I really think that we're going to have to get used to being uncomfortable uncomfortable. We are going to have to get used to the fact that the way we thought about the world and how we perceive the world really doesn't fit into any boxes, because we're being invited to create new ways of thinking and being and interacting in this world, new ways of supporting one another, new ways of showing up more powerfully for one another. So we're gonna feel uncomfortable. It's good that we feel uncomfortable. It's good that we're grappling. It's good that we're soul searching. I actually thought it was probably a really good thing that it took me so long to come up with what I even wanted to talk about for this month's Intuitive You, because it means I'm listening and I'm really trying to hear what's in my heart and show up in a way that serves the community of people that I'm working with, and also honors and respects what is going on in the bigger collective right now. So embrace the grappling. Very simple message this month. I'm not going to give you 3 steps for how to do that. This is a pretty off-the-cuff video because I felt it was more important that I speak from my heart and not a script. And what are 3 steps to embracing grappling anyways, right? Get your journal and write about it. Grab your art book and write about it. Go be in nature and sit by a tree and call in wisdom and get grounded. Like those aren't steps. Those are ways that you can make space to grapple with it. The exhortation that I would give you though, and give us all this encouragement, is I feel like it is more important now than ever to have some form of a spiritual practice that gets us in our heart, that gets us connected to our heart wisdom, and that gets us connected to the energy of love. Because getting connected to the energy of love and being in the creative and intuitive and very high intelligence of our heart is how we are going to know how to move forwards with love. And it is how each of us is specifically going to know how we're being called to show up in the world at this time. And since we do have different soul paths and different soul journeys, that's going to look a little bit different for each of us. And that's okay. We don't have to judge each other for that. We don't have to make somebody else wrong in order for us to do what feels right for us. It doesn't have to be about us versus them. It can be about listening to our heart, hearing the truth that's in them, and then taking that step because that feels right for us without the judgment attached. If everybody else isn't doing this, they're somehow wrong. That's not how we create peace and harmony. How we create peace and harmony is to do what's right for us and trust that others are really trying to do the same and try and move forward together in a way that makes space for everybody. So we need that time to be in our heart. We need that time to listen to our heart wisdom, and we need that intelligence of our heart so that we feel really equipped to know what specific ways am I being called to help? What specific things am I being asked to do right now? And this isn't a time that we're being asked to sit still. This is a time, whether it is donating money, whether it is showing up, whether it's being an active voice, whether it is peace and meditation and really having intentional prayer for the globe and for our planet right now. This is the time for us to be receiving from our heart and really asking, how can I take an aligned step and how can I move in the direction of love with this in a way that is in alignment with who I feel called to be. So grapple this month. Congratulations if you are. It means you are here. It means you are present. It means you are willing to be a part of the dialogue for how to change things and move things forward. I'm glad you're grappling. It's good that we're grappling. We can grapple. Embrace it. Keep finding ways to be in your heart and listen to its wisdom. And last, never ever underestimate the impact of joy. There is so much heaviness right now, and we're called to dig into that, right? We are called to peer into that and not be afraid to look into the darkness and look into the shadows. But the way that we maintain our light so that we feel re-energized to do that work is to find ways to connect with joy and to connect with nature and to connect with pleasure and play and nourish ourselves and care for ourselves and do things that fill ourselves up so that we can be really powerful agents of change and activators of love and really powerful light workers and space holders of peace on the planet. And the way that we do that and stay in that power is to take time out. and to make space for joy and know that that's okay, right? It's okay to balance out the heaviness with also taking space and time to do the things we love, be with the people we love. That's more important now than ever. So I wish you a beautiful month of June. Grapple away. I will be here. Reach out if you want to connect or talk. You can just reply to the email that I send out that goes with this video. And in the meantime, be well and be love. And who knows where we'll be in July, but I know we are going to be showing up and we're going to be present. I'm sending much love to everybody.